thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity to be here and talk from Eco-Energy's side. Eco-Energy is active in the development of waste treatment using a thermal process of incineration. And there are many different examples of these facilities around the world. We have just mentioned here on this slide a couple of these, and we also show some pictures from France as well as the United States. When we're looking at the situation in particular the European Union, we notice that there are a number of countries that have come very far in terms of recycling and waste management and have been able to reduce the amount of landfilling that is being utilized in order to handle the waste. In particular Germany, Holland, Austria, Belgium and as well as Sweden, where Eco-Energy is coming from, have been able to achieve almost a complete waste management system without any type of landfilling, which is of course very different compared to, as we see here on this slide, for example, countries like Romania and Bulgaria, where the waste management process is almost 100% in terms of landfilling. A little bit about the waste-to-energy production in Sweden. As this slide is stating, there are a number of plants in Sweden. We have approximately 30 plants that have been operating now for many, many years, and this is the experience that we are attempting to bring here to Ukraine. You see in particular also some pictures of some of the facilities that are in operation in Sweden. In order to provide further data, we have also included this slide here, which gives you the operational data of the number of municipalities in Sweden. And as you can see, that's a huge utilization of waste-to-energy facilities. Here are some further data on landfilling, which are quite interesting. That you can see that from 1994 until today, the landfilling in Sweden has almost been reduced to an absolute minimum, and that means that we are no longer utilizing land in order to simply store waste on that land. Interestingly enough, we can also see on this slide here that the treatment of the various components and material recovery is actually increasing at the same time as landfilling is being decreased, and that means that we are starting to have a much more efficient, economically efficient system. However, one thing that should be pointed out is that this is largely achieved through incineration, where we're able to utilize the energy, in other words, an energy recovery. However, Sweden is not the only country in the European Union that is utilizing incineration and waste energy recovery. There are many other examples. Here we provide some data on some facilities that are in construction, and as well as some that have been completed. There are examples of facilities now being built in, for example, London, which is showing the rationale behind incineration and waste recovery through this by simply allowing large cities to continue operating and becoming bigger, handling its waste management issue through incineration and energy recovery. Some data relating to the product development that we have in Donetsk, comparing to Sweden and Stockholm. In Stockholm there is one plant of a similar size located approximately 6 kilometers south of the center of Stockholm. The plant that we have been proposing up in Donetsk is located approximately 10 kilometers southeast of the city center. The reasoning to a large extent of the location of these plants is that we're talking about energy recovery, meaning a recovery of energy through production of electricity as well as production of heat. Heat is being used by the population in order to heat their homes. That means that you have to be reasonably close to the population in order for this type of operation to really make sense. This slide shows exactly what I've been talking about, that the solid municipal waste is transformed using the waste-to-energy facility into electricity, heating. Some cases, in some places in the world, it can also be used for cooling, and it could also, as an industrial application, be used for process steam. Some further data on Donetsk. I'm not going to dwell on this information because I think it's fairly well known, but just concluding that the city itself has approximately 1 million people, which is an important data in the sense of how much municipal solid waste that is available at the moment in Donetsk. Here we have some further data on the situation about landfills. There are today in the vicinity of Donetsk approximately 3 officially existing landfills. Out of, as it states here, that 2 of those are at the stage of being closed. The reasoning for the closing the facilities is that in all the cases here, they are unfortunately not even in compliance with existing legislation in Ukraine, and they certainly, in terms of standard versus modern type of landfilling, are very far away, which is an environmental issue in the city. Here once again we can see the location marked out of the proposed facility, and as you can see here we also have attached ourselves to the ring road of the city. As you can see the H2 there, the 20, and the reason for being close to a highway is that allows us to bring in the waste trucks to the facility, with reducing actually the harmful emissions inside the residential areas which would today be used, and bringing the traffic out of the highways rather. Here is also some further data that is showing the city, and the city itself, you can see down at the right corner where we have the facility. We also marked out the connection points that we intend to be connecting into the electrical network that is available locally, so to speak, as well as the district heating network providing electricity, the heat to the population in the so-called Proletarski district that has approximately 100,000 people, meaning that we will supply heat for, approximately speaking, 10% of the population, but about 20% of the existing district heating network. Here's some further data on the project and the project history. We are today, just pointing out the third point from below, working on finalizing the turnkey supply with the French company KNIM and ABB, which is a major large engineering company. And that means that we are now able to elaborate the project documentation, and we hope that we will be able to initiate some of the construction activities before the end of this year. Some other figures for the project. We are here able to incinerate all the municipal solid waste that is being produced in the city, and that means that we will have approximately 60 tons of waste per hour for incineration. The capacity of the plant is approximately 100 megawatt thermal capacity, meaning that the boilers are sized for 100 megawatt in total, 2 boilers, 50 megawatt each. We expect to be able to produce a maximum of 35 megawatt electricity and 65 megawatt of heat. There are also some further information here, but I would like to point out that maybe the last one of these points is the most important one, relating to the so-called fly ash, which is a hazardous component, and part of our project is to provide a safe way of storing this hazardous waste, according to European Union directives and legislations relating to that, in order to safeguard an environment. In comparison, we have to unfortunately recognize that the present waste incinerators that are operating in Ukraine are not able to fulfill this requirement, and would in fact store fly ash in what we would call a non-acceptable way for this very hazardous material that come out. Here's some further data on the incineration process that we're not going to go into. I would rather like to just show a short picture. There's a quick slide on the facility, where we on the left side can see the waste trucks that are dumping the municipal solid waste into the so-called bunker, where it is being stored and later on brought by a crane into the boiler, where it is burnt, and then heat is recovered in order to generate electricity through the steam turbine that we can see on the very top of the sketch. Towards the right side, we also see a number of emission control systems in order to not only reach the levels of the Ukrainian legislation in terms of air emissions, but also meeting the requirements of the European directives for air emissions, which are much more stringent. Here are some further slides on just the burning process, and on the right side you can see a picture from inside the boiler where the waste itself is being burned. Here is another picture on the heaters, superheaters, which is generating the steam that is used in the process. And here are some further information about the boiler itself and how the waste is being moved through. As well as you will find in our presentation a sketch about the emission control system, which is being utilized for this plant. Here's another picture of the control room from a similar plant in Sweden, where you can also see in the background screens where the operators are able to, on a continuous basis, review the burning process in order to ensure that it is in compliance with the requirements. There's also a continuous measurement of number of air emissions and other data. Here we can see some further process schemes on how the so-called bottom ash that is coming out, which is an inert type of material, which in many European countries presently would be used as landfills or road fill material. Here we have some of the results from the project, and it shows here that we are able to provide approximately 50,000 houses or households with electricity from the facility, and we will cover approximately the needs of Proletarski in terms of heat, meaning that we cover here for about 20% actually of the population in Ukraine that are of those connected to the district heating network. And we do this, among others, also through a construction of partial upgrade of the district heating network in Donetsk. In addition, we will upgrade some of the boiler houses. We will also provide a number of workplaces. But I think above all, which is a very important issue here today, we will be able to reduce the amount of natural gas that is being utilized in the district heating network, and thereby provide support for the energy security in Ukraine, reducing the natural gas bill. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If there are some questions, I'm here willing to take those.
Возможно, я пропустила, я хотела бы уточнить, какая температура сжигания. Все.
The temperature of incineration is 850 degrees Celsius. That is kept at a certain time period in order to ensure that there is no dioxin produced in the flue gases.
Есть еще вопросы?
Я как представитель Академии наук Украины и разработчик проекта по переработке мусора, очень приветствую то, что вы хотите делать в Украине, в Донецке. Но знаю, что у вас там очень большие сложности по работе с населением. В каком плане оно сейчас у вас уже? Знаешь, там дорогу перекрывали и так далее. Это первое.
I'm not aware of that there has been any problems in terms of the roads and so on in Donetsk. It's clear that all projects like this will draw the attention of the population. That is the case in any country. However, the steps that we have taken out in Donetsk in order to try to provide information is that we have held public meetings where we have provided information similar to what we are providing here today. We have provided written information. We also send out newsletters to all the households of Proletarski. We have approximately 17,000 households in Proletarski. We're sending letters to each individual household explaining the project. We have also provided hotlines in terms of telephone for people to ask questions and get information. We also have a website in not only Ukrainian and English but also Russian, in order for everybody to have an opportunity of asking questions. But I appreciate very much the support also that we're getting.
И вторая просьба, если можно. У нас очень тяжело добыть информацию, хотя и тендер, и все прочее, по вашим разработкам, то, что вы представили. Можно или персонально иметь этот доклад, который вы представили? Мне лично. Каким-то образом.
Yes, if you can either provide your contact data here for our staff, or write us a letter, and we do provide actually a copy of our feasibility study to those interested. We have participated in what was called a working group in Donetsk, which was made up by representatives of the city, our own company, as well as the NGOs of Donetsk. where we also provided copies of all the material that has been part of our permit application. So if you give us your name and address, we will also give you a copy.
Еще последний вопрос.
Out of curiosity, are you operator of plants in Sweden, or originator of the know-how technology, or what's your, say, reference for this project, if I may ask?
Yes, of course you may ask. Our reference is that Eco-Energy was set up in Sweden as a collaborative type of company, taking into acquiring the knowledge that had been developed within the Swedish market in terms of constructing these facilities. That means that we have an active cooperation with many of the cities that are operating these. We have provided opportunities to various Ukrainian officials and scientists to come and review these facilities in Sweden. And we are not ourselves operating the facilities, but they're operated by our partners in Sweden that we're using. And that's the same technology and operational knowledge that we will bring here to Ukraine. We are also, just to point it out, doing exactly the same thing in China, where we are working together with the Swedish authorities in order to bring the waste-to-energy technology to China.
Спасибо вам большое за выступление.